Welcome back, everybody. It's another event in the Small Wheels F3 Championship on Plebian Racing in Assetto Corsa. We're here in the virtual blimp above beautiful virtual St. Petersburg. Cars going around now, finishing up the qualifying period. Remind folks of the schedule. Tonight is the penultimate round of the series at St. Petersburg, and we'll wrap things up at Barber Speedway next week. Got 9 competitors here tonight, and they're just circulating around now. Stands, a little bit empty. We know what we're in for. But good to see as we zoom in that the crowd gets more and more interested in what's going on. And of course, no broadcast would be complete without yours truly, parked safely within the Plebian Racing Mobile Broadcast Center. Good evening, everybody. Hope you enjoy the show tonight. Let's get back into the racing action. Dave Martin going around. He was on pole for just a moment. He's now down to 4th place. Peter O'Brien leading the field with Jeff Bray in 2nd, James Leader in 3rd. Dave Martin now 4th. A lot at stake here this evening. The championship very much still up for grabs. Take a look here. James Leader now leads the points after the good performance last week. Podium in both, I think a win in both races. He's at 82 points with Jeffrey Bray at 75, Peter O'Brien 72, and then Dave Martin in 4th at 52 points. Several folks in the 30s who are fighting over that last top 5 position, but it looks like James Leader, Jeffrey Bray, Peter O'Brien at the top of the standings, have it all to play for. Of course, 2 races tonight and 2 races next week. And those three competitors also atop the timing stand. Nearly a 1-minute flat for Peter O'Brien. Jeffrey Bray now trying to catch up. A little keyboard difficulty there, but seems to be sorting it out. Let's go on board with James Leader as he chases a lap time through this very tricky hairpin. It looks like a double apex, but really, if you get it just right, it's just a hairpin with some scary walls around it. Big steering inputs in these cars to get them around the corners at low speed. Down to a very tricky, widening hairpin out onto the straight. What looks like the apex is not. You can sort of late apex it and get out on the straight here. Qualifying now over. Peter O'Brien standing pat on a 1-minute .3. James Leader now within a second, but just barely. Peter O'Brien on an outlap. Just going to get some practice in. Looks like Dave Martin will not improve to catch him. Showing the checkered flags here, he will remain in 4th unless some scoring shenanigans happen here at the end of the period. DJ Harris also in 5th place at a 1:02. That'll be his best time as he pulls aside. Let's see if Bray gets another chance to go around, and he gets a 1:01.359, just behind the 1:01.331 from Leader. Got folks parking on the track. Hopefully James can negotiate these. There's a car hidden behind the halo there. He does better his time, so we're still getting laps in. Big PP on the TV. What's up, Saga? Welcome to the show. We got James Leader still going around. Dave Martin, I think, will close out the session once he crosses the line. Looking to better a 101.9. Trying to get it in front of a 101.3. He's 7/10 down on himself through Sector 1, however, so it looks like the likelihood of a comeback here for Dave pretty low, but gonna get some practice in anyway. Up to the S's and through the final corner onto the long runway straight. Woo! Picadorifto onto that concrete. Interesting surface changes between the concrete and asphalt. I think it's reflected in the traction that you get on the racetrack in the mod. Peter O'Brien then with a time nearly a second clear of James Leader. Jeffrey Ray third, Dave Martin, DJ Harris, Lion the Radial. Some very close times in the field. Only 8 drivers tonight. But should be a good contest. St. Pete, not a very large track, and it's very tight. And there are a couple of pretty tricky areas where one small mistake can set you back. And so we should see a pretty good race, or hopefully 2 pretty good races. Of course, we have the doubleheader tonight, and again next week at Barber to close out the season. So James Leader looking to protect his lead, but he is a second slower than Peter O'Brien around the lap in qualifying. We'll see what that means for the race. We know that James is a habitual non-practicer. So we'll see if he can pick up pace during the race laps and what might happen. 8 cars in a big old van. We'll get ready to pull off the track here in just a moment. 2, 1, and grid. All right, let's get in the van, and we'll pull it off the track. There we go. Safely ensconced in pit lane now. There's your starting order. O'Brien and Leader on row 1, Bray and Martin row 2, Harris and Lion Radial on row 3, Walter and Medina row 4. 8 cars, 2 races. All the points to play for. Congratulations, gentlemen, on your top 10 finish this evening. It's going to be good. We're going to throw a marker in here, optimistically, for race 1 start. We're getting ready to go. Lights are coming on now. 6 on. 6 off. Green flag and we're racing. O'Brien out to a lead. He has the inside line coming to turn 1. Leader looking to go around the outside, but can't quite. He's got Bray shooting through for the lead. O'Brien down to second. Leader holding on to a podium spot as they come through into the street course. Leader poking his nose up the inside, trying to unsettle O'Brien, who goes a little bit wide, but manages to hold on to second place. Nice close race at the front of the field, all clean. Oh, and Bray goes wide and tags the tire wall. Oh my, from the lead of the race, Jeffrey Bray has been set back. We'll have to catch that in the replay after the race. Looks like he just had one too many beans for breakfast. Understeered out of the hairpin, or into the hairpin rather. And out he goes into the tires. Peter O'Brien re-inherits the lead. Our pole sitter once again at the pointy end of the field. James Leader now back up to second, and Dave Martin finds himself on the podium. Let's ride along. Oh, actually, let's ride along with DJ Harris, who is right behind. Your top 4 separated by 2.5 seconds as we complete the first lap with only one disaster that I know of. That for Bray, who has already made up 2 positions and is back up to 6th. So he's still in touch with this field and still has it all to play for. Back into the street course section we go, down to this tricky double apex hairpin. Harris staying with the leaders. pop up one car to Dave Martin, and as he has a good view of the lead battle. Oh, a little bit shaky going through that left-hander. Up to the S's, close to the end of the lap. DJ Harris taking a look up the inside of Martin, and they touch wheels. Martin goes around, and Harris stops momentarily and then decides, yeah, you know what, there's a limit to my chivalry, and I'm going to just keep going now. Martin down to 6th, with Bray making it through. That was unfortunate. A little bit of an optimistic maneuver there from DJ. And he did kind of stop, and then, well, you know, it just kind of, you know, there are limits sometimes. So around he goes. Martin now trying to catch back up to the field. He'll be frustrated with that one. Line the radial. In 7th place now, looking at his wing. Oh, Martin's tires might be a little toasty. As he goes wide there. Into the loop. Car looks a little bit jumpy. We might be dealing with some weird ping times or whatever the case may be. Bray now up to 5th place after that mishap. So started 3rd, poked his way into the lead, lost the lead, and is now back to 5th place. He's just behind DJ Harris, who has gone wide on the exit onto the front straight. See if Bray can seize that opportunity here. A nice wide-angle shot of the straightaway. Camera work a little bit tricky at this track. On this, oh, Bray locking up the tires, trying not to run up the back of Harris, who then spins on the exit. Got a little nervous trying to hold Jeffrey Bray off there, and Harris goes around. Real easy to light up the tires and break the rear end loose on these cars. And Bray now back up to 4th place, 2 seconds behind Seth Walter, who may or may not be pleasantly surprised to find himself in the position he's in now. 3rd place, 7.5 seconds back from James Leader, who has kind of let Peter O'Brien go here. He's going to run a nice, safe, conservative, and not banging into walls sort of race. Ooh, as I say that, the car wiggles on exit there, coming out onto the front straight. 1 minute 1 there for O'Brien. Sitting pretty now, got some clear air. Although the lap times around here are only about 61, 62 seconds. So the fact that Medina is now 23 seconds back from the leader means that it's very possible that we could come up with a lap traffic situation pretty quickly. Going back to Bray now, still chasing down Seth Walter. This may be the closest thing on track. No, DJ Harris coming up on line radial. Trying to make up some positions after that spin, trying to hold off Bray. He's going to look to the inside, then the outside, and then switcheroos will go on board, because that might be the easiest way to look at this. Sticks his nose up the inside, but then chokes it off. Line radial just making it through there, giving just enough room to be safe, but not enough to let the pass happen. This is an excellent battle here. We're going to stick with it for just a bit. See if Harris can get through here. Line radial, slightly defensive line, but not to the degree of blocking. Here goes Harris with another shot at it. Looks like he might make it stick under braking, but no, he goes wide. Line radial going for the switchback. Might hold on to the place. He's going to have the preferred line. We're going to look down the front straight and see 2 F3 cars side by side. Line radial to the inside, but it looks like Harris is clear. Walter now, oh, he's turned the wrong way around and has contacted the wall. He would have been battling with Martin, I believe. Oh, and oh, he's causing problems for, who is that? That was Medina coming around. Had nowhere to go as Walter backed up across the track. That is unfortunate. Medina now going through. Line radial escaping that one. Let's see. DJ Harris has now made it clear around. Leader with the fastest lap of the race, so 101.1. O'Brien still holding on to the lead. Interval remains about the same. That was a pretty messy situation there. We had Walter battling with Bray. He then fell back through the field, contacted Medina. Medina looks like he's stressing his tires out a little bit. Walter now climbing back up the field. They are now 20 seconds back, and Peter O'Brien is going to find himself without that clear track that he was enjoying just a moment ago. So I think he's going to be less than 10 seconds behind Medina now. go on board with our leader of the race, who is not named the leader, he just is the leader. Terribly confusing. These guys need call signs or something. Around goes O'Brien. We'll see if Medina is visible now at the end of the straight as we come out. Not. Yes, he is. So the tail end of the field already visible to the man at the pointy end. A 101.117 for O'Brien. That's a lot of ones in that number. Harris around. Oh, that's a lot of contact with the wall. Line radial goes through again. That will inflict some damage on the car. And that is going to make it double plus unfun to drive at this point. Jeffrey Bray with his fastest lap of the race, a 102, puts him back into a podium position after his first lap mishap. Plenty of action here in the first several laps of this race. A 108 for Harris as he's getting himself back in business. O'Brien on his 8th lap will go back on board with the leader of the race, as now Medina is well within sight. Pretty good sounding car, I must say. Just enjoyed shutting up for a moment and listening to the car go around. Leader still within touch of Peter O'Brien for the point of the race. Line radial setting a 103.1. DJ Harris catching him up. Or 103.7 rather. Harris setting him up with a 103.1. Sorry, I'm pretty exhausted by today. In that pesky real life getting in the way of glorious imaginary race cars. Here's DJ Harris in that Konica Minolta custom livery. Oh, so close to that wall. These street circuits, you really have to just put your big boy pants on and pretend those big concrete barriers aren't there. It's just a really, really tall curb. It'll be fine. It'll be just fine. First lap for Jeffrey Bray under a 102, sets a 101.9 in pursuit of James Leader. He's 18 seconds back from the pointy end of the field. 102.7 is the fastest lap for Lion Radial as he chases Dave Martin, who has found his way back up to 4th place. It seems like maybe 2 of our 8 competitors have not had a disaster of some sort befall them already. Martin looking very uncertain through this section of the course as he goes around the hairpin. I think that's more caused by network difficulties on my end, or somewhere between him and me, than it is about... Oh, there's a fastest lap of the race. Peter O'Brien getting under a minute 1. 60 seconds, 60.893. Extending his lead, and DJ Harris is off. That's a bit out of nowhere. DJ Harris has left the track, and Medina has parked it. So perhaps something befell both of them at the same time, perhaps something separate, but whatever the case, DJ Harris, whose livery we were admiring just moments ago, has left us. If Medina can get back out there, he can claim 7th and pick up a couple more points along the way. But suddenly there were 6. We'll go back on board with Martin, 5 seconds back from Jeffrey Bray, who is still pursuing James Leader. This lead just sort of stretching out at this point. With Medina off the track and Harris off the track, Seth Walter is now the next lapped car ahead of Peter O'Brien. He is somewhere around 5 or 6 seconds up the road. It will be interesting to see how traffic plays a role in this race. It's not a long track for these cars, only about 60, 61 seconds a lap. So with a large speed differential, there you see ahead Seth Walter. It is Seth Walter, right? I'm not messing that up. Yes, great. I had a moment's uncertainty in myself there. Harris is back on the server. Had a transmission problem, looks like. But is getting it sorted out there. 1:03.1 for Harris, and a 1:09. O'Brien closing down the rear end of the field by 3 seconds in that lap. So we will see traffic play a role on this very tight street circuit. O'Brien probably at the point now where he needs to start thinking about his tire life. 7 minutes to go in the race, 13 minutes done. Those tires are likely to be mighty toasty. We'll see what Walter does here with the blue flags. He's generally been very considerate. He's by no means obligated to move over. On the other hand, he's not really involved in a fight per se. So we'll see what happens. He's got a nice opportunity here on the straight to just sort of let the pass happen. If O'Brien can get a good exit here. Coming around to complete lap 13 with a 1:01, so very consistent lap times still for O'Brien, but you can see the car a little bit more jittery now. A little more uncertain of where he's going to put the thing. There we go, you see Walter moving over to give up that track position. O'Brien goes through uncontested, still drifts it into the fountain section and around to the hairpin. 6-second lead now on James Leader. The gray Red Bull number 18 still leads this race. 6 seconds to the good of James Leader and the number 12 Camel. Jeff Bray 22 seconds off the lead, 17 seconds off of second in the blue Red Bull entry. Dave Martin in the 24, the sole standard bearer for the gray and red Plebian liveries. Luke Baumeister has bowed out of the standings, it seems, after coping with the car for the first couple of events. It seems to have been a bit much. Lion Radial maintaining a top 5 position, 10 seconds back from Martin. He's got a good space back to O'Brien, probably about 15 seconds there or thereabouts. Martin with a 1:03.1. Tires may be falling off. Handling of the car may be suffering just a bit. 1:03.2 for Lion Radial. They're still maintaining about a 6-second gap to Peter O'Brien. He's been very good at saving his tires and making a play for the end of the race. Another fast lap of the race for Peter O'Brien, a 60.6, 61.2 for James Leader. O'Brien still roasting the field with these lap times, but also roasting the rubber at the corners of his car. Looking very smooth and confident as he goes around. I'm trying not to jinx him too much, but looking much more secure in his car than he did last week. Handling seems to be all over the place at our last contest. But this seems to be a much more stable car under him tonight. I just noticed there on the pit road, or the front stretch camera, you could actually hear the diesel motor of the broadcast van gurgling in the background. 62.5 there for James Leader. He is loosening his pace a little bit. May have had a little bit of a doubtful moment going around the course. even his tires are starting to let go a little bit. 101.8 for Bray. I think at this point with these intervals, he's just kind of trying to bring it home. Walter now a lap down to second place, but still in sixth position, pretty securely now with Harris and Medina still in the pits. Looks like Harris came back just long enough to secure seventh ahead of Medina. We'll see if either of these guys comes back for race 2 and tries to make up for lost time. Team's leader making up a bit of time on Peter O'Brien that lap with a 61 flat. Bray coming out of the final corner now to complete lap 17. He has a 7-second lead, I think. No, that's more than that. That's 14-second lead on Martin. 102.3. Bray seems to have relaxed his pace as well. We're not seeing the 60-second times that we were seeing earlier in the race. Peter O'Brien seems uniquely qualified to set those down. Dave Martin with a 104.3. Keep an eye on him. We'll go on board the car, see what this thing's doing. Big lockup heading into the twisties. Around the double apex hairpin and down into sector 2. It's a very tricky left-hander, completely blind. It feels like it should be faster than it is. Turning the wheel all the way around, but around too much, a little bit too strong on the throttle on exit, and around he goes again. We'll see if that gives Lion Red Eel a chance. He's now coming out of the final corner. Can he control the throttle? Yes, he can. Now Dave Martin within sight. We'll see if that gives Lion Red Eel the motivation he needs to make up some ground on the track. It often helps when you're chasing somebody to finally be able to see them ahead of you. We'll see how much motivation that gives Lion Red Eel here as Dave Martin has come into view. A 101.1 from leader. We have 19 laps done. This should be the white flag lap. We'll go on board with O'Brien now. He seems to be in about the same place on the track that Lion Red Eel just was. We may in fact see that red and white car ahead as we're on board with O'Brien here going through the hairpin. Yes, that is Lion Red Eel just ahead. 55 seconds back means he's about 5 seconds up the road in front. That is how short these lap times are. O'Brien through the left-hander for the final time. He's so close to that wall. Shoot through the S's and around that final hairpin onto the runway straight. A relatively comfortable run after the lap 1 drama for Jeff Bray, but Peter O'Brien comes through to win in race 1 with the fastest lap of the race, 1:06. James Leader comes through in second place and immediately does a nice little dorifto and stops short of the tires. Well played. Bray now out of the final corner to take the final step on the podium. So your points leaders in the championship finish 2, 1, and 3 in your first race of the evening. So a championship race that was tight coming into this race is now even tighter. You now see Dave Martin surviving the race. For the bad news, it's mid-pack. The good news is that's 4th place. As we see lots of post-race celebrations in turn 1. Martin with the big spear. Lion Red Eel now finishing in 5th position. Harris and Medina chilling in the pits will not trigger the end of session. Walter, last car on track. Well, it shows checkered flag, but he has not come to the pits yet. He will finish out this lap and park it. So good times all around. O'Brien with an excellent performance. Brings it home. Let's see if we have the time to pull our race winner into the booth. Hang on, let me get the interview scene going, and we'll now kidnap our race winner from race 1. Welcome to the booth, Mr. O'Brien, and congratulations on a race run win.
Why, thank you.
So it was not drama-free there in the opening lap. You had a good start and claimed the lead, but Bray got through, and then tragedy ensued. Talk us through that lap 1.
I didn't know where to brake. If I'm being completely honest, I had absolutely no clue where to brake. I had never taken that corner from the inside. The big white line scared me, so I tried to move towards the outside, and then I very promptly realized I was already past the brake point. And went way past the corner, only to be passed by Jeff. Luckily, James let out of the throttle, so we didn't have a 16-car pileup in the first corner. But, yeah, that was kind of bad. And then I guess Jeff just missed the brake point and flew into the wall because he, I don't know, wasn't paying attention or something. But after that, it was pretty smooth sailing. Just did a bunch of laps.
Yeah, those cold tires and finding yourself in a surprise lead position might have thrown off a little bit. But kudos to both you and James for leaving the room there. It's tough to go through those corners when you haven't practiced being offline. But looked like you had a much smoother race than last week. Got a much better handling car this time around.
Have a car that actually wants to drive in a straight line, yeah. I don't know, something about Mugello and the way I set my cars up, I guess just didn't get along. I literally changed practically nothing. I took basically just the Dragon Trail setup I had, which was what I used for the Mugello base as well, so I don't really know. But yeah, feels really, really good here. I think just the flow of the track fits the way I set my cars up better, to be honest.
They look very, very, maybe not comfortable, but at least stable and nice,
Stable.
consistent lap times through the whole race. I believe you got the purple lap as well, so well done. And congrats. And I hope I don't jinx you by saying the luck continues in race 2.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and I'll knock on some wood for you.
Well done. I'll throw you back now.
All right, thank you. Have a good race 2.
Oops. Where are we going? We're not in the same... we're in flat earth, aren't we? There we go. And cool. All right, so there we go. That was your race 1 winner, Peter O'Brien. We have James Leader and Jeffrey Bray finishing out the podium. And it looks like we're getting ready for race 2 here, so I am going to get back in the van and promptly throw it into the pit lane. There we go. Second verse, same as the first. We have much the same starting order this time around. O'Brien, Leader, and Bray in the front with Martin, Lion the Red Eel, 4th and 5th. Seth Walter coming through in 6th. Harris and Medina are on the grid after parking it in race 1. Hopefully they will have... oops, it's not the replay, it's the broadcast. Let's go back. Nope, that's not... Me no click good. All right. Real broadcaster brain moment. Now it's race 2 start. Let's get that title card in there. Help out the folks who do the editing for the race broadcast in the future. Here we go. 6 lights on and green flag and we're racing. Boogity, boogity, boogity as we go down the front straight here. Leader with the outside line. Much the same story. We'll go through turn 1 looking at the leaders here. Uh-oh. What in the world? What just happened? Our timing tower just went nuts. Where is Jeffrey Bray? What has happened to Jeffrey Bray? He has not come through. Where's he gone? What's he doing? Jeff Bray's in the pits. What just happened? Disaster has struck one of the top 3 players in the points. Jeffrey Bray apparently did not make it through the first turn. Jay Bray appears to be out of this race. Before the first turn is done, we're on board with leader chasing O'Brien in the dirty air. You can see the front end lifting and lightening up. But Jay Bray not completing lap 1. I was about to flip to him to get his perspective on turn 1, and he just was not there. Oh, the drama. We're going to have to go over that in the replays, but James Leader now finds himself uncontested. 6 seconds to the good of Medina, who's now in 3rd place. He started in the back, so something has befallen the middle of the pack here. Oh, his Leader with the big Dorifto catching the car. Something dramatic has happened in turn 1. Medina now into the podium ranks. Leader having a lot of trouble with this car all of a sudden. Medina finds himself in the wall. That's not going to help his chances. Well, he's going to be kicking himself, throwing away a podium position there. Perhaps too good to be true. As Martin now goes through into the lead, 9 seconds off of O'Brien's time. Already setting a 61-1 is Peter O'Brien in the lead of this race. James Leader just behind. Looks like this is a reverse story from last week at Mugello, where O'Brien's car, as Medina is off again, looks like he looped it on exit of the final corner. Look at the lawnmower effect of this car as he goes through the grass. That's impressive. But it looked like last week O'Brien's setup just did not work at all for Mugello. Oh, and the tires on Medina's car are well and truly roasty now. O'Brien with an unhappy car last time. Oh, as Harris is off. But now it looks like Leader is the one struggling for grip as Walter now comes up on the back of Harris and goes through, but over. Oh, no, leaves too much room on exit. Tags the tire barriers. And now he is the one stopped on the side. Dramas for everybody in race 2. That was a case of Walter just being too nice to DJ Harris, leaving a bit of room, going around the outside, trying to clear him in the corner. Reached out, understeered, grabbed those tires, and around he goes. Peter O'Brien now leading. Harris off again. This is in that final corner, and he's coming to the pits. Perhaps with a broken car. Medina pitting from the track, and again, Harris and Medina have parked it. Tragedy. For a couple of guys who had decent pace there. Walter now going through for a top 5 with Jay Bray out. Drama for the Haribo Bears, indeed. So after a mysterious lap 1, we'll go on board with James Leader, who is still chasing a Peter O'Brien who is in sight. DJ Harris rejoining the track now. At perhaps an inopportune time. 60.9 for O'Brien, 61.3 for Leader. They are now coming into turns 1 and 2. With DJ Harris trying to make up a position or 2 before the end of this race. We still have 3/4 of the race to go. It's not like anything's over. Dave Martin setting his fastest lap of the race with a 62. We'll see if O'Brien has caught a glimpse of the tail end of the field yet. He does see Leader in the mirror. So he knows this race is far from over. But O'Brien in a much better feeling car this time around. You heard it straight from the source. Medina has simply given up on this race, and after the mishaps he's had in the first couple laps, that is a blameless action. Harris back into the pits. I think he was just cementing that 6th place. But yeah, not feeling it tonight. 129.8 as Harris crosses the line on pit road. Is he going to come back out? He is. It looks like he just sort of gave himself a drive-through to get out of the way of the leaders. What a nice, good guy Harris. Look at that. taking the voluntary drive-through, let the leaders pass, and he's going to go ahead and cement that 6th place. So we go back on board with James Leader, still well within touch of Peter O'Brien. We've seen Leader being very patient, very smooth, very consistent, especially last week with everybody else kind of going everywhere. But this story has been flipped this week. It looks like Leader is a little bit uncomfortable in the car this week. As Walter goes around in Sector 1, O'Brien now catching up on that location. And staying in the onboard view because it looks like he's going to see some traffic ahead of him sooner than later. Did Walter take damage? Maybe. He might have taken damage in his earlier incident. And if he damages his front wing, that's just going to make it ever harder as Harris gives up on the race. After just making sure that 6th place was in the bag at least. James spun. Oh, yes, he did. I flip away from him for just a moment, and now he goes around. These cars don't really reflect damage in the rendering of the car, so it's impossible to tell what he's suffering from now. Whoa, big Dorifto! It really looks like the handling of his car is just not with it this race. Very much a mirror image of last week's race at Mugello, where Leader's handling was just unassailable and O'Brien was drifting everywhere. It now looks like O'Brien is the one with the stable, smooth car, and Leader is just struggling to keep it pointed in the right direction. Still going very quickly. Make no mistake, he is still at least 2nd fastest around this course, but O'Brien seems to have his number. A 2nd faster in qualifying. And pulling away here, Leader right out to the wall, using every inch of the track and more. Walter goes a lap down, being spun there. Where is he pointed the right way? He has pitted now. Is he going to stick with the race? Bray still sitting in the pits. I wonder if he simply missed the start. I thought I saw him getting off the line. But it's possible he didn't even start the race and, for whatever reason, got stuck on pit lane at the green flag. We'll have to go back to the replay and see if we can piece together what happened there. It's possible he did not, in fact, take the start, and that would explain why there was such a melee to get around, because he would have been sitting on the inside of row 2 there. So we'll have to take a look at the replay and see what happened there on lap 1 of this race. To scramble the order. So then there were 5. James Leader now 9 3/4 seconds behind and falling ever rearward. Bray back in the race. 8 laps down. I wonder if he had some sort of malfunction in his equipment that kept him from starting this race. We'll have to watch and see what his pace is. Obviously, his outlap pace will be somewhere in the 10-minute range, but 61.0 from Leader. So despite the tricky handling of the car, still setting some blistering times in that Camel Racing number 12. Jay Bray now just circulating. Can he turn? He absolutely can turn 8 laps in 10 minutes with a 60-second time around this course. We know he has the pace to do so. He could still salvage a 6th place finish, perhaps even a 5th place if he can catch Walter up. He's got 10 minutes to do it. We're only just halfway in there. We've only just hit the halfway point of the race, so Jay Bray could still make something out of this if he just keeps his cool and maintains the pace that he had in qualifying. A 60.859 for O'Brien as he completes the 10th lap. We'll see where Leader comes through. A 60.7. That is the fastest lap of this race and almost the fastest lap of the evening for James Leader. So forget everything I said about an ill-handling car. It looks like he's got the number of this one now. Finally getting his feet under him. We'll see if he's able to catch O'Brien, or at least close that gap. Martin goes through, still in third. 6 seconds to the good of Lion Red Eel. Bray going through with a 103.7. I have a radio station in my area that's 103.7. That's interesting. Let's see, O'Brien, he's just now completing this lap, so he's just behind Bray on the track, a 60.9. O'Brien just laying down lap after lap of speed. A 61.1 for leader, so he's fallen off again. Bray is now past Medina. So Jay Bray working his way up the field. If he maintains this pace, he will get at least 6th. If he can catch up to Walter and get P5, then his championship hopes for this series remain alive going into the final doubleheader at Barber Motorsport Park. 64.2 for Walter. Still fighting that car around. A 62.2 for Bray. He's chewing down that lap time. Just under 8 minutes to go means about 8 laps to go. We're going to stick with Bray here and watch his heroic struggles to come back up through the field. I'm not sure who that is that he's coming up on now. I'm just going to flip to them briefly. That is Seth Walter. So together on the timing stand, 6 laps apart. We'll see if Bray can make up at least one of those here. I believe, if I'm counting this correctly, he will pass Harris for 6th when he crosses the line this time. 63.3 for Lion Red Eel in 4th place. He's pretty well sealed that position up unless disaster strikes him. 63.5 for Walter and a 62.3, so carving a second off each lap. Not fast enough to make up 6 laps, but at least enough to make up 1. He has not passed Harris yet. I guess he'll have a few more laps to go before he does that. A 60.5 for O'Brien retakes purple lap. O'Brien now fastest lap of the race in both races. Leader with a 61.4. Is not catching. He is 18 seconds up on Martin. So he may be counting some easier chickens to hatch at this point. Oh, and another drop-off for leader who seems to have... Is he out of fuel? No! What's he done? What's happened to the car? Leader is having some sort of mechanical difficulty. Now seems to be getting back underway, but he has lost 2nd place. Oh, you can see the camera jittering there. I wonder if he had some sort of server disconnection. There goes Bray into 6th now. He's now made up the laps he had on under Harris. So now Jay Bray up to 6th place, claiming just a few more championship points. Leader now back up to pace, but that was a mysterious little problem. He just dead stick in the middle of the course, and Martin has gone through into 2nd. A 121 there for leader. Well, this is now quite the battle all of a sudden. As leader right on the back of Martin. That was a very mysterious little incident there. We'll have to see what happens. And perhaps we'll pull James into the commentary booth in the post-race show. And ask him about, oh, very wide there on the exit of the hairpin. Feeling that dirty air off the back of Martin's car. Now he goes to the outside. Martin defending the inside as they come to this tight left-hander. Martin giving the room on the outside, and the leader goes through Walter around again in a very tight section of the course. We hope he's not in the way there of O'Brien, who's coming around. The leader of the race taking evasive action so that he doesn't cream the back of Seth Walter's car. That was a tense moment for the leader, Peter O'Brien. That could have spelled disaster both for the race and the championship. We'll go back to this fight for second place. Martin continuing to pursue James Leader. Trying to keep the car under. You see that whipping back and forth with that number 24 Plebian Racing car. Oh, leads him to go a little bit wide on entry into the hairpin. Has to give up a lot of speed. Leader able to pull away now. A second to the good of Martin. Nice gunmetal in red Plebian Racing livery with the black wing. That's a smart looking car. Bray now only 5 laps down to Seth Walter. Don't think he's going to make that up in 3 minutes. Peter O'Brien now all by himself on the track with James Leader falling back there. 102s from Leader and Martin. As they now come into sector 1, rather. And Martin continues to fall back a bit. Leader still within sight. Very wide. Oh, and Leader off the course again. Misjudged the fountain section, but Martin goes wide through the hairpin. And they're right back on top of each other again. This battle just will not go away. I can't tell if Leader's having trouble with the car or if he's just toying with our fearless showrunner here. Tucked right in under the rear wing of Dave Martin's car. Oh, what a big lockup into the hairpin. Let's see if they can control the throttle on exit here. Yes. Can't bump draft in Formula cars, gentlemen. Walter around again. Looks like that's again in the hairpin. Martin around the outside, Leader to the inside. They're wheel to wheel coming through sector 1. Leader peeking to the inside. Martin all the way out to the wall and into it. Bounces off and Leader to the outside. Martin trying to defend as they go side by side through the fountain section. Leader through again. Martin with the nose just slicing through under the rear wing of Leader's car. But Leader maintains the place again. Now Martin dealing with dirty air, but also a draft. Looking to the inside, shows the nose, peeks in, and he doesn't get the move done. Leader leaves him the room. We'll go on board with Martin now. Again going for it. Oh, the send! And all he sends is the car around in a loop-de-loop-de-loop. And Leader survives to tell more tales. 104.7 and a 106.2. This battle definitely dragging them out of contention for the lead, but making the race just a little more fun for them and us. A 103.2 line ready. Oh, making up time on these guys as they battle on track. O'Brien's going to have to watch out for them as he now, I believe, with a 61.1 has just begun his final lap. Leader pulling aside again for Martin. He's just toying with the man. That's just cruel. They are in danger of going a lap down and not having another lap to play. Leader drifting out of the hairpin. He's now 2 seconds back. He may not have room to get this thing back, folks. O'Brien just behind them, winding his way through sector 1. We'll go back to this incredible fight between Martin and Leader. Not sure whether it's natural or artificial, but it's definitely entertaining. Martin maintaining for now as Peter O'Brien comes around the final hairpin for the final time to take the checkered flag in race 2. 2 races tonight and 2 wins for Peter O'Brien as Jay Bray pulls aside to finish behind his livery mate. James Leader following. This race is not over. They're through Sector 1. Leader very wide through the fountain section and compromises entry into the hairpin as well. I don't know if he's going to be able to catch Dave Martin a third time. The leaders have finished. This race for second is not over. Dave Martin still has to bring it home. Oh, and he's gone wide on the exit to the left-hander. They're going through the S's now. Leader still has a chance at this. Will Martin panic and lose it on the exit of the hairpin? Will Leader get the better exit and pass him in the draft? It's coming to the checkered flag, and it looks like Martin... Oh, Martin pulls aside for Leader to come through and take the checkered flag in second place. And a fabulous flourish. Martin hands the second place trophy to... A bit of family violence there as Lion Radio comes through with the big finish in the number 70 for fourth place. A race full of drama, like an orca playing with a seal, indeed. What a race. That was something else. Well, it may not have been for the win, but it was for second place and a drama-filled evening. Let's see if we can get Mr. Leader the Younger into the booth here for a bit of interview action. See if I can get Discord to work properly. Mr. James Leader, your second place finisher for race 2. Welcome to the commentary booth. That was quite a second half of the race. Did you have mechanical issues, or was that just a bit of good fun?
No, Dave told me to slow down to race him, and I was like, ha ha ha. You know, actually. And then I just stopped and let him catch up.
Well, I was concerned with the points on the line and all that, with your car pulling aside at low revs. I was just saying, is he out of fuel? Has he had a mechanical problem? Is his wheel broken? But really treated us to a great show there.
Yeah, I had some fun at the end. I was pretty confident that I could get by Dave again, and then on the last time I let him go, I made a little bit of a mistake and let him get a couple seconds ahead, and I couldn't catch up. So he let me go at the end as a good sport.
It was good sportsmanship all around, and certainly a good action for you guys and the folks at home. Much appreciated. So what happened at the start? There was some confusion there. Jay Bray apparently not getting off the line. What was going on there?
I think he left to go get some food, and he didn't come back in time for the race start.
Oh, no. So
he came back a few minutes in, was like, well, how's the race going, guys?
Oh, what a tragic end for the evening, because he had the pace, but oh my. Well, that explains the chaos at the start.
Yeah, and he had a pretty good start for race 1 for about 3 corners and then crashed. And we never saw him again.
Well, that's just the way it goes sometimes, I guess. But well, it seemed like the car was not quite as stable as it was for you at Mugello. Were you having handling issues of some kind, or was it just not suiting the track?
No, the issue was I started out with my Mugello setup, which is very stable and it works great at high speeds, but we never really got to that high speeds in this track. It's mostly very slow mechanical grip kind of corners, and it just had a ton of understeer. So in the first race, I'd kind of softened up the front a little bit to try to make it turn in, and it was still a little bit too stable. So for the second race, I made a few more changes right before, and then was having to figure out how to drive the car in race 2. So it was getting loose all over the place, but eventually figured it out. It was quicker. I gained a few tenths. At one point, I set best lap of the race for 1 lap until Peter beat it again. But picked up a few tenths in pace if I could get it right, but it was a lot looser.
Yeah, it was for all the drifting out of the corners. I was like, oh, is he having handling problems? And then he set fastest lap a couple of times, I think. But so definitely put me in my place and trying to figure out what's going on there. It was a very well run race and certainly entertaining there with the fight. So thanks a lot and congratulations. I'm not sure what that means for the point situation, but how do you feel in going into the final round at Barber?
Well, I think it's close between me and Peter, and I'm a little bit worried because he's generally faster. He just had a couple of off weeks. So, Barber's a fun track, but I've never driven it in AC. So I'm going to have to really learn the track and figure out if I can get the pace.
Well, certainly have had the pace all season, and good luck in that final chase for the championship next week.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, that's I think going to do it for us tonight. We do. I don't know if we have the replays ready, but I must admit that I am tired, and I think I've reached the limits of my capabilities tonight. So I think I'm going to have to cut it short there. But thanks everybody for coming out to watch. You're treated to some really great action tonight, and just my sympathies to Jeff Bray there in race 2. Just incredibly bad timing, luck, circumstance, whatever. We'll see what that does to the points. And we'll have that report for you at the beginning of the final broadcast for this season next Wednesday, virtually from Barber Motorsport Park. Thanks everybody for watching Plebian Racing. Come back and do it again sometime. We will, and you should too. Good night, everybody.